Welcome to the Nordic Mythology podcast. I'm Daniel Farrand of the company Horns Vodin. Usually I would do some big long plug, but I don't have the effort today. I'm too excited to get into this one. I'm putting it as the after party to the 250th episode. These two don't need any introduction. It is Mr. Ed Gamester and Mr. Jonas Lorentzen. Both of them have been on here numerous times in storytime versions. We've milked the death out of this solo combo, the combo together. We've done everything, but it's always a lot of fun. As soon as we said that we were doing this, we got a bunch of messages of people being excited. The chat's busier than it's been in months. People have come out in numbers to watch the chaos. So
sick.
Welcome, and obviously my lovely co-host and in-house archaeologist. Don't forget to say that, Margrethe Havgar. Mags, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm excited about this. I've never been in one of the episodes with you guys together, and it's my first time speaking to Ed, so I'm very excited to be part of the chaos that will surely ensue.
Oh, well, you got a glimpse of it before we started,
and I'm loving it.
Who wants to go first and give maybe a quick
I would like to go first, because I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate you, Dan, on your 250th episode.
But if you're going to go first, I would like to just go pre-first and say I'm really okay with you going first.
Yes. Thank you for honoring me with this. But yeah, congratulations, Dan. 250 episodes, no one can deny it's more than 240. And although it's less than 251, it's still a huge achievement. I'd love to say it was great. I didn't listen to it. I intended to and then forgot, as is my want.
Well, I wouldn't expect anything else.
Thank you. I'm glad I've set the bar so low now that I can't actually disappoint anybody. Yes, I'm Ed. I've done this podcast in Dan's own words too many times. I am the writer of the show Mythos Ragnarok, which tours the world telling people the stories of the Norse gods. And I've been on here for years now. And I have a very good time every time. That is it. That is me.
Wonderful. Yeah, we did the Havamal episodes, which people do need to go back and listen to if they haven't, which is me, you, and Matthias drinking. We call it Drunk Odin Was Born.
Yes.
And it's a reading of Havamal. So go and look somewhere back in the early episodes for that one.
Basically now considered like the improved version of the Jackson Crawford translations of anything.
Yeah,
you
it
have
is
to
now.
study it. Yeah, from this moment onwards, now I've said it, you see. The universities insist that you read the Drunken Odin monologue, which I'm going to perform one of these days as a thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be exciting.
We'll do it as a fringe show.
Yeah. The
Amazing.
fringe to the fringe of the fringe.
Yeah. Yeah.
There we go. Jonas.
I mean, I usually tell people also who ask me, because people always ask me if I want to study Viking stuff, where should I go? That's what people always come to me for, of course. And I just say that if you can just listen to those 4 episodes, I think it is, you will have a head start in any curriculum, Anybody. Absolutely.
If you follow the advice, you have a head start in life, There's some great life lessons in there.
In fact, yes.
Yeah.
And some really shitty ones as well.
Yeah.
And then it's up to you to differentiate between the two.
Yeah, otherwise, how else do you prove your knowledge if you can't tell the good advice from the bad advice?
True.
Exactly.
Jonas, who are you, for those who don't already know?
My name is Jonas Lorentzen. I am probably mostly known for playing with Hylum, which was some years back now, and I've worked with the Northmen as well, the movie, the Robert Eggers movie. Wrote some music for that, and acted a little bit in that movie as well. Mm-hmm. Although, and Dan and I did discuss the last time I was on whether it was a cameo or whether it was an actual part. I think it's a patio. You know, it's some kind of mix
Patio.
between the two. But
I accidentally said cameo and got quickly corrected that it wasn't a cameo.
Well, yeah, because it is a scene, you know, but it's still, I don't know, cameos, glorified cameos, I think we call it as well. It doesn't matter. The point is that that's probably what I'm mostly known for. And now I'm, of course, working on my solo project, Nibala, which I released the first album under that name in 22, and I'm working this year on getting the second one out there, and working on lots of other things as well, starting a podcast as well, which we can get into. Yeah, I'm starting a podcast.
Wow.
I have this terrible habit of saying podcast, which is, and when I speak in a British accent, it sounds kind of out of place. So I'd really like to do a podcast. It doesn't really.
No, I don't like that.
I don't like that.
Me with my American accent didn't even understand what we were talking about until halfway through that sentence. I was like, isn't that how you say it though? Oh, right. Accents. Cool. Yeah, you're right.
A podcast I am starting.
See that?
You're starting a podcast.
See, that makes me want to listen to the podcast.
Exactly. Now you feel included. Now.
Yeah.
Well, before you were alienated.
For once.
For once, indeed. No, so I'm doing that, and I'm also running. It's something I'm building up on the side, which is trying to create courses and different immersive experiences with singing, basically opening up people to their inner voice and so on.
Sounds good.
So yeah, which I think is very needed these days. But yeah, that's a brief kind of thing what I'm doing these days.
Yeah, man. People don't sing. How messed up is that?
It's fucked up, yeah.
No, I think more people should sing, but they don't have confidence because they think that singing's this thing that you have to be like a professional musician to do, rather than just a form of, human expression.
Yeah, you know what it is. You know what it is, Ed. I guess actually in doing the courses for this, I've of course, as any other university educated entrepreneur, I go for a what, where, how, why, when, all these different questions. Whenever I start a new venture, I sit down and I think sort of like, why am I doing this? Why is it interesting to me? Why is it interesting to other people? And one of the big reasons for why I think this is something that really is needed is doing this kind of thing, I research a lot as well. Is because when I did the research, I stumbled upon something which I kind of knew, but it was just interesting to get some evidence-based backing on it all. And, you say people don't sing, but people used to sing, right? People used to sing massively. People used to go down to their local community, whatever thing or pub or inn or whatever, and they would know, at least 100 songs just off the top of their head because they've been playing them and singing them their whole lives and so on. So they know that when the band goes, okay, now here starts the one about about the farmer and his wife, and so people would know. So what happened, I think, was that firstly, industrialization happened. So people came out of their communities and moved into little cubicle type apartments and worked 8 hours a day, completely devastated when you come back home, after 8 hours a day at the factory. So a lot of those kind of natural places where people would sing disappeared with the migration to the city. They were still there, of course, but they really did diminish a lot. And people also wouldn't sing while they worked anymore in the same way, like in the fields, you would sing
like dwarfs,
working, like dwarfs, like dwarfs used to do,
used to before industrialization.
Exactly.
Right?
Now
I don't think you can you still say dwarf?
I got in a lot of trouble for doing it in a show once.
I thought we were also talking about like Disney dwarfs. Are we good on that front?
I'm going to
Tolkienian dwarfs.
I'm going to stop you because otherwise I'm not going to be able to say what it is I want to say.
True.
Okay, sorry, Jonas, go ahead.
So that was one thing. Another thing was that music became a product. Like once we started recording music, it became a product. So it's something. Music is today something more It's more something we consume than something we take part in. While that's in the earlier days, you go back into pre-industrialization in particular, and then all the way back you want to go, it was an activity. Music was an activity. Of course, there would always be some that excelled greatly and were then therefore more engaged with music, but it was an activity that everyone did. In fact, I think you could probably argue that all forms of art was activities that people just did. Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And isn't anymore. So yeah, so this was
have
one
you
of my
been
whys.
Ireland, Jonas?
I have only been to Northern Ireland when I filmed
You should go to Ireland. They sing there. Like they just start singing in the pub.
Rock your road to Dublin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the whole thing, you know, like that sort of thing.
Yeah. But it's still a much bigger part of their culture. Like they will burst into song, and for people like me, it's like incredibly strange and intimidating. But for them, this is just something that they do. So I thought you'd be interested to know it's still part of their culture. It's still something that they do rather than consume.
Can you sing, Ed?
Of course I can. Come on.
You've got a voice like I feel like you could just hit a good tune.
Hit a high C.
Well, low C is what I was thinking.
I'd speak in low C.
Constantly on the low C. It's like a drone, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Only this one note. That's what my podcast would be. Just me.
Just in the low C.
In the low C. That's what it's called.
That's just what it's called.
Yeah. Yeah. You've heard of sailing the high seas. Well, welcome to the low C podcast, where I, in a monotonous tone for 2.5 hours about nothing.
About nothing.
It's like a sleepcast.
Yeah. Oh, I would still tune in.
Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment rather than.
Yeah, it is, because then it's like it's comforting. So like lulls you to sleep.
It's not meant to be comforting. It's meant to be very disturbing.
Like, sorry for trying to pay you a compliment. I'll stop.
Yeah, don't do it again.
Don't you dare do it again.
I like the fact that to think about a podcast that you have to be tuned into in order to listen to. So if you're feeling a low B right now, it's just not for you right now. You'll be constantly like half a note off. It'll be cacophonious. You have to be exactly on the low C and sort of hum along while I love that.
And if you play it at the same time as like the G podcast,
you'll have this amazing sort of fucking fifths going on. It'll be amazing. Yeah,
that's what it's called.
Yeah, I love
it. On a somewhat serious note, it is very interesting what you said, Jonas, because I feel like the commercialization of music, like I wouldn't make any form of music, and I wouldn't be great at it, but I feel like for the most part, people just won't do it unless they're gonna, I guess, take it seriously. But also, it's almost as though everybody expects everybody to be excellent before they can put anything out there. We live in a world where unless it's perfect and you put it and you dare to put it into the world, you're going to get shredded for it by some asshole. You have to, and it kind of stops people willing to try and even put things out there because there's just so much negativity. I've pulled away from being online so much recently.
Yeah, and you don't sing like you used to. No.
When
day went by that Dan wasn't like, oh, I saw him, and then people were like, Dan, shut up, you sound bad. And now he doesn't. Do it.
No, I remember when Jonas was saying about people singing, frequently. I remember going to a funeral once and having to sing at the, just sing the hymns, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. The thems. I was like, I'm gonna sing. I'm gonna join in, and I could feel everybody looking at me because I have quite a low C voice too, and
a low C voice.
I feel like everybody was just looking at me out of tune, singing, ruining this lovely moment at the funeral, and I quickly just kind of went.
But that's so weird to me because I've grown up in a church background, so I think I'm much more used to being around just communal singing than other people in the same generation. And I'm very used to just people of all types of voices singing. because we all sing together.
I imagine.
And when
They'd
I
be
do
much more used to that.
when I do the workshops, it's the main thing that I focus on is also just to make people feel safe, you know. And that's really the main thing, because once they feel safe and once they feel the strength from the group that they're in as well, you'll hear all these incredible things coming out of people all of a sudden, you know, like, and it sometimes doesn't necessarily sound good, but that's not really the point. The point is that if I get someone who's just told me that they don't even remember singing in the shower ever, to do like a kind of thing in the middle of a performance, that's like, wow, you've totally like opened up yourself in that sense and become vulnerable. So I think, Daniel, you come for one of the courses, and you know, afterwards I'll have you sort of like gallivanting down the street, just like Allah, throwing roses about you, and
like the old days.
Like how he was before, right? Yeah.
Margrethe, was it hymns that you used to sing in church, or was it like?
Yeah.
I genuinely don't know if they do do they do other songs in church?
Sure. It's mostly hymns, but I also grew up doing I was in a choir, and then we sang everything from hymns to Disney songs to pop songs.
Oh, cool.
What's the difference between a hymn and a psalm?
No, it's like song. SONG.
Oh no, yeah. But what's the difference between a hymn and a psalm?
I am not the correct person to ask that question to. I don't know. Because in Norwegian, it's just psalm.
Yeah, right? Yeah, in Danish as well. Yeah, just selme.
Yeah. So I don't know if there is a difference, or if they're just, you know, synonymous.
I think a psalm is specifically an excerpt from the Bible, whereas you don't get hymns in the Bible, right? Hymns are modern day songs written about God, whereas psalms are in the Bible.
Hey, there you go. Okay. That makes sense.
I have
not in Danish though. It's not the same.
I have an AI Google answer if you want to hear what.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Google AI thinks. A hymn is a song of praise specifically written for worship, typically with a structured format and often composed by later Christian writers, whilst a psalm is a biblical poetic text, often expressing a range of emotions like praise, lament, or thanksgiving, and considered part of scripture.
Yes.
With many traditions.
If only somebody had said that. If only a real
gold star to Ed.
Amazing. The thing is, Ed, that was exactly what you said. But in Denmark, I don't think it's the same thing. I think a psalm is
it's just psalm.
Song you sing in church is a psalm, I think.
Yeah. It's same. Isn't it very typically Scandinavian though? It's like we just have one word for this thing, and we're done.
Yeah, we're done. Yeah.
Who would imagine Scandinavians to be minimalist?
True.
So, Ed, do you have a story of how people used to pro wrestle in the street?
Yeah, back in the day.
Before industrialization.
Yeah, fucking industrialization did for pro wrestling. You know, back in the good days, people used to have to fight for their food, and now people want to watch it on TV. And like, when's the last time you saw someone get punched in the face in the street? Like, you know, barely once or twice a day where I'm from. Whereas, you know, Tyson Fury will make £1 million. No, I also used to sing. I had a band for 11 years in which I sang.
Really?
I did. We played actually a few months ago. It was great. But my favorite singing song that is relevant to this conversation is when my brother matriculated from Cambridge University, which is what people from Cambridge do instead of graduate. You kind of graduate and then you advance. You matriculate. And we will have to go there, and they wear gowns, and you sing hymns and or psalms. I didn't ask which they were, but neither of us was particularly into it. So we got given the book, and so we just opened the book at random and sang whatever hymn happened to be there at the same time as everyone else. And, it didn't go down very well with the deans, the whatever they are, the old men in the cloaks who tell you whether or not you deserve things. But yeah, there you go. I don't think he matriculated in the end. I think he graduated, and then they said you need to come back and do your special thing that makes your degree turn into a master's simply by virtue of being from Cambridge. And he said, "Get fucked. I don't need that. I need this stupid shit." It was great. I was very proud of him.
So he abdicated his matriculation because he was
straight up
otherwise fascinated with other things.
Yeah, he went and actually studied for his master's and then his PhD instead of just being given a free master's for graduating from Cambridge because he thought that sounded like bullshit.
Oh, is that how it works? If you graduate from
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah, you get your BA or your BSc from Oxford or Cambridge, and then after a certain period of time has passed, you kind of go and have a second ceremony in which your degree kind of like upgrades to a matriculated degree, which is like an MA. That kind of allows you as an Oxbridge person to stand out from all the other plebs who did their university degrees at
who actually studied a little bit more.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I went to the University of Leeds, and I can tell you now, we did not have to work as hard for our philosophy degrees.
Sure.
To work for his Cambridge, but even so, as a man of principle, he refused to accept this acknowledgement.
Did you go to Leeds?
Cool.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I lived in Leeds for 5 years. That's where I got this accent.
Which Leeds University? Because there are a few, aren't there?
Yeah,
there's a few.
like
I'm going to judge you highly on which one.
I went to the University of Leeds rather than
it wasn't Trinity.
There's the music school and the drama school, which is weird given the career path I've taken. Yes, I studied philosophy. I have a degree in philosophy from the University of Leeds. Yes.
Do you have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree?
No, I'm taken. No, I have a.
What did you say?
I'm not going to repeat it. It was a terrible, terrible joke. I have a.
He said he's taken because you said a bachelor's degree, Jonas.
That was so dumb that I didn't even realize.
In comedy, to be clear. I got a bachelor's, my BA in philosophy, but my brother is now a lecturer in philosophy at the University of Leeds. So
oh wow,
there you go.
Good on your brother.
Why philosophy? Not that I think there's anything surprising in that. I've met philosophers who look weirder than even you. So it's not like that. It's not.
You met my brother then.
No.
Why philosophy? Because it was the only subject I could find where you could actually study it in school, and it told you something that I felt was important about life. About how to live and why to live and whether to even bother living. I really figured that I needed to work that out before deciding whether or not I wanted to, fix cars or walk dogs for a living. I first needed to try and work out what I thought existence was. And I failed to do that. So it's now why I do this and, whatever.
But at least I guess you're really good at poking holes in arguments and stuff.
I am. I'm infuriating. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
but the fact that you say that you failed is so funny to me because you're clearly sitting here in front of me. So I mean, you haven't failed yet.
Oh, I see. No, I know. I've successfly carried on living. I'll give myself
right. Exactly. And as long as you're carrying on living, you still have an opportunity to sit and ruminate on why that's happening.
Yeah. I still have a chance.
Why is this going? Why is this still going on?
Yeah.
This is really weird. And it keeps going on, it seems.
Yeah.
It's strange, right? No, I think that's great. And I think as a philosopher, you have a bachelor's degree in philosophy, but you as someone who like to think about existence and so on, which I'd like to count myself among those people as well. Don't you think it should be mandatory in fucking school to have some basic philosophical training in how to think or just how to think about things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Like a lot of schools in the UK have, we call it critical thinking, which is essentially the same thing, which is a subject that you can kind of do on the side. But yeah, it's strange to me that certain subjects are considered mandatory.
It should be mandatory.
It should be mandatory.
I would say I don't think there was even the option to have it at school for me. So so when I say school, I mean it's up to high school, which would be 15, 16, year 11. Yeah. There is no option for philosophy or anything along those lines. And as sad as it is, it would have been probably laughed at by most kids anyway. It would have been the joke subject like RE was. But
I feel like that depends on the teacher and the class though, because I remember I did right before we left the States when I was in year 11. I had a philosophy/world religions course, and that was really, really interesting. And our teacher was amazing. He was like this older I wouldn't even call him a dude or a guy. He was like an older gentleman. And he took us all super duper seriously, which I think was why that class was so good, because I feel like all of the 16, 17-year-olds in that class were not used to be taken seriously.
Yes, you nailed it. You nailed it. That was what. So I was lucky enough to do it in school as well, not just at uni. I did it as an A level, and one of the appealing things was people listen. Well, it wasn't that I wanted people to listen to me, but my thoughts were it was about what your thoughts were. You weren't just sitting there being told some facts to remember. You were presented an argument and asked what you thought about it, and I thought that was much more interesting. So that's really cool that you had the same experience.
I'm so curious how you went from philosophy to acting, voice acting, wrestling, being interested. Being interested in pirate stuff and,
to be fair,
Viking stuff.
Who isn't interested in pirate stuff? Because that is interesting.
Exactly. The answer, Dan, is just
strongman. I forgot the whole strongman side of you. You're a man with many faces in a nice way.
Yeah. Thanks, 9 of them. Yeah, existential crisis is the only explanation, Dan. One led to another. You know, they're all of them are just different ways of trying to live life in the most like raw way possible to try and kind of wring some dopamine out of existence. You know, I think.
Well, that was quite a sad answer.
Rise, Jonas. In answer to your question, Jonas, do you think that singing should be mandatory, or music should be mandatory in schools?
Oh yeah,
and I mean that, for reals.
Oh yeah, no, very much so. I think I don't know how badly it's gone in the UK, but I imagine it's somewhat the same. Like music has been down, like shall we just say there's been less and less priority for music in school, given within the last, I would say, 20 years. It already started in the end of my high school, but in the end of my high school, there was still first year of high school in Denmark, there was still 1 year of mandatory music everyone had to. But I think literally the year I went out of high school, that's when they scrapped that. And I think it's a huge problem. Also stuff like community singing and so on, like in schools, simply just having a morning singing thing or whatever. I think it's so important. I think always when you do it, kids respond really well to it. If they haven't done something like that in a long time, they might be a little bit nervous in the beginning. But once everyone's standing and singing, people kind of just forget about their nervousness and just start singing, And I think it's an extreme shame that all these different things, such as thinking and playing music, and it could be any kind of artistic expression, is sort of always relegated to sort of the sides. It's like if you've got time when you've done all the important things that will make you a productive member of society, then you can maybe dabble in some thinking and some music. But
why do you think that? Because PE is still a strong subject, and obviously you have sports people who are idolized, but you have musicians who are rock stars. They're idolized by people, but yet music as a subject doesn't seem to be taken that seriously. And similar probably with drama. Drama as a subject is never taken very seriously, but you have actors who are idolized by people. So why do you think there's that disconnect there?
And there's barely any professional wrestling in schools, like, at all.
I've never had any wrestling, to be honest with you.
In the playground,
who's the highest grossing actor is The Rock. So, fuck off drama, go do pro wrestling, and you become The Rock.
I love what you said. I love what you said before when you sort of like made the link to my whole sort of shtick about music, and that it's the same with fighting. People used to fight all the time, right?
They did that.
No, and people were hard back then, and now they're just living vicariously through these other people that are fighting, and feeling, I'm fighting, but it's not really me, so it doesn't hurt. So that's great. I can still eat popcorn and go like, get a adrenaline rush, right, from all this. It's UFC and all that sort of thing.
Mhm.
The same, right? Like,
Yeah, performative fighting, you know?
yeah,
People consume fighting now instead of just getting in the streets and getting among it.
But I do think, even though it's going to be hard to like oversee that and stuff, I think there is one way that we can make kind of wrestling come back. Maybe not in a public eye, but at least so that people get experience with it. And that is like that you have to have a sibling that's close to your age. Because my sister and I, we wrestled a shit ton. And we wrestled so much that we would even at one point we shared a room and we taught each other like non-verbally. We just kind of mutually agreed that we would wrestle and we fought. It was like to blood to the death. But we learned how to do it.
You don't have a sister anymore.
I'm not kidding. We learned how to do it quietly so that mom and dad wouldn't interrupt and bother us. And we were like 14, 15 at that point.
Yeah, like shut up, don't you cry.
Yeah.
So we're like killing each other softly.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
Hey, do you unlock
the opposite of the Chinese one-child policy? We'd have to enforce a strict. You have to have a second child, more or less immediately. So
like within a 2.5 year span.
Or the first one gets killed.
Yeah. Hey, do you unlock a memory?
Or placed into another household with another child of a similar age.
Nice.
Yes.
Actually, I have a better idea. So all the kids that kind of like are born too late and are not within that same thing, we send them to this particular island with all the other kids that are born too late, and then they fight to the death.
You want to do like a Lord of the Flies thing?
Yeah, Battle Royale.
Battle Royale.
Yeah, I don't want teams.
No teams. Just. Sorry, I'm digressing. Go on.
When you said about wrestling in school, you unlocked a core memory that has stuck with me from primary school, and that was the one time I saw somebody try a wrestling move in a real fight, and it didn't go too well. And there was a quite a nerdy kid, and there was looking back, it's a very sad situation. There was another.
But you
kid,
will still tell the story for laughs.
Yeah, I won't put any names to it. And there was another kid like there was having like a disagreement, and the nerdy kid guy like stuck up for himself with the probably like more athletic bully type kid, and they got into a little bit of fisticuffs, and he really thought like a Stone Cold Stunner was going to work in that moment and committed to it, and like went for the kick and went for like the drop on the neck, and he just hung there in like midair, just like with his little legs out.
But good on him for sticking to it, though.
Oh, he tried, and then just unfortunately got his ass whooped. But and that just for some reason that is just like seared into my brain as one of those memories that I have of this situation of like, do never try the Stone Cold Stunner in a fight. It's not gonna work.
That's actually part of the Havamal we missed out. That was Stanza 401. In a fight, do not bust out the Stone Cold Stunner.
Stone Cold Stunner.
I actually didn't. I wrestled in school, like literally. I didn't do it as a class. I did actually in my A level. I did an A level in PE, and I wrote a syllabus of shoot wrestling and did it and got an A level in wrestling. So there's that, which is pretty weird.
Damn.
But I did also put on a professional wrestling showcase in my school 22 years ago, where we just kind of took the theater part of the school, or not the theater, but the hall where you have assembly, and we did a tables, ladders, and chairs match. me and my brother in lunchtime, and we sold tickets. We sold like 300-400 tickets to the kids, and we did it. And by the time the teachers kind of worked out that this really shouldn't be happening, where I was climbing up a ladder and getting power bombed through it by my younger brother, it was too late. It had already happened, and we have it. I have the whole thing recorded.
You and your brother are like the Ron Weasley's twin brothers, like all the guys. You're those kind of guys, yeah?
Yeah. That's it. Thank you. Don't try and compliment me. I don't like it. Remember?
No, that was a compliment. That was definitely a compliment.
Yeah, it was great. Right?
Yeah,
but that's how I started.
We're similar ages, right? How old are you?
I'm 38.
38. I'm 35. So we grew up in the Attitude Era of WWE. WWF to us. And it was so popular, I think. I don't know how popular it is amongst kids today, but I feel like it was such a kind of a normalized thing to be into wrestling when we were younger. It was huge. Jonas, I assume you're similar age, so you'll have that. And Max, I forget, how old are you?
I am turning 31 in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so you'll probably remember the same kind of era.
But actually, that being said, my school in the States had a wrestling team. A couple of my friends were actual wrestlers.
Hey, that's proper wrestling, though.
I know. I never watched WWE though, because I didn't understand what it was.
Can I be a little bit of a buzzkill? Because the whole reason why we're talking about this was because you asked the question in the beginning, Dan, about like people looking up to famous people and that sort of thing, and why is it that PE is such a huge part of school? I think with a lot of these kind of things, it's also, you know, what do you call it, supply and demand and that sort of thing, right? Like, because it just is like this, that and this, not to say anything bad about PE or people who do physical things. Lord knows I should do more myself. However, it just is a bit lowest common denominator type thing, you know, like especially when you get to football type thing. It's just there's just a lot of people who like that stuff, you know, like yeah. And I think,
and it's societally considered like good for your health.
Of course, and which it is. Why
sure.
You know, PE should be a fun subject, interesting subject, and a passionate subject, and all that kind of stuff.
I happen to disagree. I think that PE is not a big part. Like y'all have said that PE is like a bigger part of school than, you know, music or thinking.
And most definitely is.
But certainly not in the UK.
No,
but we do like 1 hour of like forge rolls in a week.
Yeah,
it's a big deal in like Australia and in South Africa, in places like that, where or China, where they do hours of it every single day, as you should do, really, if you're a growing child. In the UK, you sit on your ass all week and you do 1 hour of handstands, and
that is true.
I don't think that we could say that's it being like an important part of education.
Ed, in your school,
good point, man.
Ed, in your school, did they take the benches? You know the benches you sit on, and then they turn them upside down, and you have to walk across them.
Yeah, that is the perfect example of PE in our country. The benches that you sit on, they'd turn it over, and you'd have to try and balance on the underside for like 15 minutes. That was your physical exercise.
It reminds me of that health meme. Look, health.
Yeah, health. Yeah. That's exactly it.
But I think the truth is in between the 2 points, because whilst we do PE quite badly, I think that there is a lot of people take it more seriously. Like maybe it's because of the type of person I am. I remember my PE lessons. I don't remember a single drama or music lesson from my entire high school, and that's quite sad. But I could sit here and really think hard, and I couldn't remember a single music or drama. Lesson for 3 years.
So that was the next thing I wanted to get to. So I can totally see what you're saying, and PE should actually be something also maybe relegated to some morning activities. Could even just be some fucking yoga, you know, or something, you know, something every day is done physically. I think would be sensible for a school as well. Interesting how this podcast now is sort of us figuring out how the education system should sort of progress.
That's why
but that is what people are here for. So you know, let's get the people what they want. You know,
there's no limits on this episode. This episode can go where it needs to go.
Yes, no, but then coming back to the whole thing, is like, why is it more popular? Because I think even with what you said, we should still like, it's still pretty uncontroversial to say that most kids like don't dread doing PE. So you just do PE. There are some, but just let's try to fucking let me get to the end of this point.
Did you hear me thinking about interrupting you?
No, Ed was.
Okay.
And you were. I didn't see your face. Were you as well? Maybe I felt you as well somewhere.
Well, now you've interrupted yourself, Jonas.
what I'm fucking trying to say is that music and performance is extremely vulnerable. Like the minute you're singing in front of someone, it's a very very vulnerable place that you're in. I think people feel a little less vulnerable about doing PE, like in general, than they do playing music, and that's also again because all these things have become commoditized. It's become this thing that if you don't sing in this way, like you mentioned earlier, Danny, if you don't sing this particular way, then you're just going to be the laughing stock or whatever, So I think there's a lot of that performance anxiety sort of in general. People seem to be generally sort of kind of clenched up when it comes to this whole part. And that's where, something like having a bigger focus on music and performance would also help people in general, also in their work lives, even if they don't want to become musicians or actors. I would hope so. Most people don't want to become musicians and actors all of a sudden, but you help them on many levels, I think.
Yeah, that's the point, though, right? As well, is that the fact that you even have to kind of caveat it with, even if they don't want to become that in the future, the idea that like only by wanting to become a musician does studying music have a value. Or only by wanting to be a philosophy teacher should you learn to think. It's like these are just things that you can do to become a more well-rounded and interesting person, potentially, or at least more in tune with yourself.
Yeah, the more you know about different things, the more you are.
Whoa.
There's probably that emphasis on the subjects you pick, where people will always say, "Well, what are you going to do with that?" So if you studied philosophy, people will be like, well, what are you going to do with that after? There's always this thing and this emphasis on like, what is that going to be? What's your lifelong career going to be when you pick these things at 12 years old that you're going to study? And rather than just having fun, it's always like, well, what's that going to step into?
Still ask me that, Dan.
But it's also these things that we appreciate here in our society, right? Like I could just hear my dad's voice, like he would say to some other person, "Oh, my son is a very accomplished musician. I'm really proud of him, but he doesn't have any money." He doesn't have any...
It's always that, yeah.
Yeah, but it's also like when they say like, what are you going to do? Or where's the value in it? What do these people do when they leave their work? When they go home, they listen to music, they watch TV, they read books, like they consume all the stuff that fucking we make, man. Fuck off. You don't tell me I haven't got a real job. You spend all your time consuming the stuff that I make. I don't consume the shit you make. Get out of here. I'm the real person, not you.
That's a good point, actually.
I won't tidy my room.
Yeah, if they stop streaming it free, they could maybe you would have the money.
My cousin actually did something similar to that in the sense of like, what are you going to do? And this 16-year-old kid at that point, she's now 20, she gave me pause because it made me think about exactly that. So when she did what's like the Norwegian equivalent of A levels, she went in to do music because she'd been playing is cornet the English word for it? It's like not the trumpet, but very similar. For years and years in band. And so she wanted to kind of, study that art and get better at it in a more professional setting in school and do that full time while still getting her high school diploma. So she did that. And then everyone else in our family was like, oh, so are you going to go on to study music or like, what are you going to do? And she just went, no, I don't know what I want to do. Maybe criminology sounds fun. Right now she's doing like this kind of gap year thing where she's doing like a fantasy line, like they're studying fantasy books and fantasy epics to figure that. And this kid is just like going around and she's like, this is fun. I'm gonna deep dive into that, and then we'll see where I end up. I don't really know.
That's a nice way to be.
That's interesting. She's gonna grow up to be so interesting,
right?
Yeah, very much.
So here's a question to probably all three of you in a way. You've all kind of picked paths and hinted at the low financial gain within those paths.
Not even hinted, man.
I feel like we started it straight out.
But would you change it? Because obviously, Ed, you're doing a theater show that you put so much hard work into. You're traveling all over. You're literally destroying your body every time you do it, and you're in pain back to back. Jonas, you're obviously putting hours and hours and hours into music. You're, spending probably more than you're making from it to make the albums, and then it's a huge struggle. Mark's obviously you're studying all the time, having to do your PhD, and probably not getting enough back that covers what you should. Would you change doing what you love to do for like a more financial comfort, I guess?
No, and I don't even think that you can validate it by saying it's what I love, because a lot of the time it isn't. For every hour I'm on stage doing what I'm actually very good at, I spend 100 hours doing stuff I'm terrible at, and sitting on laptops and paying bills, right? So I spend more time doing things I hate now than I ever did when I had a more conventional job. But it's not that I like doing this or that I love doing it. It's that this is what I was meant to do, not in a cosmic level, but this is my makeup. This is the work I was placed here by the gods to do, and you don't need to believe in the gods to have that kind of relationship with your own existence. When you work out, sounds
pretty cosmic to me.
Well, yeah. What I mean is, you don't have to believe there's anything more than a feeling inside. If you do, great. I'm just, I don't believe anyone actually made me with the purpose of like, this man should fall down for a living and he'll people will enjoy watching it. But I certainly think that, every decision I've personally made over the course of my life has been pushing me in this one direction, and that now I'm following the path that I've chosen for myself. And, that to me, even though I hate it a lot of the time because it's so goddamn difficult, that's part of it. That's part of the weird thing. So I wouldn't change it, partly because I don't think I have a choice. This is the only choice I had was in choosing to do this. I didn't get to choose that this was the thing that I was going to do, which sounds very contradictory now I say it out loud.
No, I kind of get it though.
Totally get it, yeah.
Yay. So thanks, guys. How about you two? Would you change?
You go, Jonas.
Would I change? I always find that question to be so... It's slightly irritating, right? Because, if I said I would change something, are you talking about would I change something in my past leading up to this, or would I change something right now?
No, more. It was more kind of. Would you, if you could click your fingers, would you swap, the struggle and where you are now, but pursuing what you love to? I guess you had that. Obviously, you were an accomplished chef, and then took the direction to go back into music. So I guess, but it was more like, would you do that? Would you go into like a comfortable, financially secure role that has like what everyone else does?
Well, I did that becoming a chef, right? Like one of the considerations was that I'd become a dad and needed something more stable. And I thought that chefing sounded fun, and I liked cooking, so I thought I could do that and have a more stable job and a more stable income for a while.
One of the most insane hours there is in any career.
It was, in hindsight, extremely stupid, but I think it was just like, I had tried being a handicap helper as well, working long hours with that, which was grueling and made me depressed. And so what I'm trying to say is that I've already tried that. I've tried that several times, having a more secure situation, or trying to have a secure situation next to building up a career in music. And at some point I just figured out that now I had to just put all my eggs in this one basket, because I think very much, as Ed says, I'm on this planet to do music. This is really what I am here to do. And if that means I have to sit and do a lot of boring bureaucratic work because I totally resonate with that as well, so be it,
Yeah.
Because I think I will not feel fulfilled. It's not about my happiness. It's not because it's happy and dandy, but it's the fulfillment of it. I wouldn't feel fulfilled if I didn't do this thing that I feel called to do.
Yeah, right. There's such a strange idea that happiness has anything to do with it. like I'm not even aiming to be happy. You know, it's like people are like, oh, happiness isn't the end goal. You know, it's the process. I'm like, I'm not even trying to be happy in the process. Like this is what I've cut out to do, and I know I'm going to be miserable a lot of the time. And I'm not even trying to be happy. I'm trying to do what God made me to do. God damn it.
God damn it.
Happiness kind of comes and goes, doesn't it, along the way? Sometimes like you have a great time when you're happy, and sometimes you're not, but you're like, that's not the point. If not being happy is gonna stop you doing something, then fucking don't even try in the first place, man, because it's gonna suck a lot of the time. But
yeah, because happiness is also a fleeting thing. Like, it's not a consistent feeling, in my experience, at least. Not to sound like a major party pooper, but happiness is like, it's like when you taste something really good, that taste isn't going to stay there forever, but you enjoy it while it's there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's a great point. Because
what is happiness even?
Well, yeah.
There we go. There we go.
No, but there is that feeling of, it's almost put out into the world that you have to be happy all the time, or if you're not happy all the time, it's going wrong, or you see all these other people online who are quote unquote happy all the time, when that's not life. Margrethe, you make a great point that life is complicated. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad, and that's perfectly fine. That's just being alive, Ed, philosophically, just staying in there.
Yeah.
I always like to do the psychedelic comparison, you know, like compare it a little bit to a psychedelic trip. I think I've had some psychedelic trips which have been very fun, very enjoyable, and I've been very happy, and it's just been creative play with a few friends or whatever. Beautiful experience. But the ones I really remember are the ones where you know, when I was like meeting this fucking demon and he just wouldn't leave me alone. And he kept showing me things, and I had to deal with it. And at the end, I fucking dealt with it, and it was tough. And for 2 days, I had to just think and process. But oh my God, did that thing stay with me? You know, like really. And I'm being vague, but it really is like that. Like, happiness really isn't the goal. God damn it! If you were happy all the time, frolicking around,
be slightly boring, wouldn't it? Yeah,
it would be so dreadfully dull and drab. You know, so yeah.
Yeah. And I think all of us can probably agree that the happiest moments usually come after the toughest kind of challenges. And as cliche as that sounds, that's straight from a t-shirt
like
somewhere.
They could, but they don't necessarily have to, though. I remember like some of my happiest moments can be really, really dull. Like I remember just a couple of days ago, I had a nightmare that Ibsen, my dog, went missing.
Oh, no.
And then I woke up, and he gets really warm at night. He sleeps in my bed. He gets really warm. So he's usually not the cuddly sort at night. But I woke up and he was lying right next to me, up to like my upper back. And just me turning around and being able to touch him made me so happy. And that was just a little nightmare. But then I can also wake up and see him, and he like makes a little yawn and he smiles. And I just get super duper happy.
Yeah.
For that little fleeting moment.
That's lovely.
Yeah, they're sweet. No, dogs are sweet. But I just meant it in usually the things that I really,
I got what you meant. Yeah, it was just me being annoying about it. But yeah.
It's all right.
No, not at all. It's
you have to like struggle with, and the things that like those moments where I'm like, fuck this, I want to quit. I hate this. I hate doing this. I've done it wrong. I really have to. But then when you finally get there, it's like, oh well, it's that achievement of coming through the hardship, whether it's, you know, I've gone into hiking recently and I fucking hate going up the hills, but when I get to the top, I'm like, yeah, I did it. This is great. I love this.
Bold choice, man. Bold choice to get into hiking for someone who doesn't like going up hills. Strange choice of hobby.
I like the top.
He's just
this is like the Monty Python sketches. And now we switch over to the organization for people that like to go hiking, but that hate to go up hills. You know, it's like
maybe I worded that badly.
I was just being
fun.
Sorry.
No, I found it really lovely. I thought that was a really good comment because I resonated with that a lot.
But you know, that's part of the process, right? When you work out stuff that you've chosen a very literal example, Dan, as a man who doesn't like climbing up hills but gets to the top and likes the view, which is normally an analogy, but in this case you're literally talking about hiking up hills and enjoying the view from the top. So yeah, that's it, isn't it? You know, you're a man who likes a good view, and you appreciate that there's going to be a walking to the top to get done, and so you get on with it and you walk up the hill. And if you're not happy walking up the hill, of course you're not fucking happy, because you're not going to be happy walking up a hill. You're going to be happy at the top of the hill. And that's Dan. He likes that. And everyone else is the same, but just less exactly talking about hills and views.
Yeah.
It kind of segues pretty nicely into me plugging the new album I'm working on, because
You're welcome.
that's exactly what that whole album is all about, because it's a whole album dedicated to rites of passages, right? And that's exactly what that is. But when you go through a rite of passage, it is you sacrifice something in order to get something else, right? So in Dan's case, it's he has to sacrifice the fact that, you know, he's gonna have to live with the bad feeling of going up the hill, but he is going to get to that other side. He is going to get through and get up onto the top of the hill and see the sunrise, right?
And I'm not up there early enough to see the sunrise, but
sunset.
Yeah, maybe this set.
Maybe the sunset, or just maybe just the sun, because you don't want to go down in darkness, right? So like you'll never mind. The point is
a very specific album, by the way, Jonas.
It's all about dance gallivanting up and down hills, basically. It's basically every song is why
did you pick that noise? I feel attacked.
It's more like rum dum dum. Do you like it better, Dan? Like,
yeah, that's
I'm getting up the hill.
It's like the tuba noise on is it Family Guy? Whenever like the fat guy walks, Stewie plays like the tuba.
Oh no!
That's
what I was thinking of. I was like, oh.
And every song ends with running up that hill.
Okay, yeah.
Every song.
It's gonna be a hit, but it will only be Kate Bush that makes all the money. The point is that that is what rites of passages are, right? They are that you sacrifice something in order to get to something else. If with your marriage, that's a rite of passage, a very big rite of passage. You are committing to something, and you can't commit to something without sacrificing something, without saying, okay, this thing that I used to do before, I don't do that anymore. I'm committing to something, you know? And I'm glad that you're committing to walking up that hill, Dan, because I think we lack that in our society. Committing to something and being okay with letting go of something else in order to get that new thing.
True.
Yeah, I think the attention span is very fleeting in the modern world. Like, if you have to really commit into something to learn it, to do it, I feel like people just don't want to know, for the most part. Not everybody, but I don't know. Things just cycle so fast. Like at the minute, there's the whole Elon Musk saga. Whatever you think about it, I'm not going to get into that. But like,
why not?
I guarantee within like a week, everybody will have forgotten about it, and it will be kind of old news, forgotten. No one cares anymore.
And then we're just talking about a news cycle, though, aren't we? It's like one thing is what you consume, another thing is what you actually do. And I think all four of us are examples of people who have on different types of levels actually really committed to stuff and stuck with it to different shapes and sizes, right?
Yeah. I would argue maybe we're all of a similar age though, so maybe that's like our I don't know, our generation. We
it would feel like we're too small of a pool to make a generalization like that.
we grew up. I would say we kind of grew up. We're in that weird place where we grew up with the internet. Like we grew up when the internet came in. We had it as like young kid. Well, not young kids, but like young adults. We all probably had MSN Messenger.
Yes.
That we were like talking to people at school from. But we didn't have like social media as it is today and the version.
And I thank the stars every day for that fact.
So we have this kind of, we're in this really kind of odd place where we had the internet, we had the accessibility to do things, to search things and the whole world, but also didn't have the negativity and the toxicity that there is now.
Excuse me, Dan, how much have you not? The toxicity on MSN could be pretty vicious. I'm not going to lie, though.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, you're right. You are right. But it was just one-on-one for the most part. Not
True.
But yeah, so I'd be interested to see the younger people growing up and the attention span they have to things and to kind of sticking with stuff and not just expecting it to kind of all come together and work.
It's funny. I worked in the school in Norway a few years back. I was doing a project there with some kids, and I was doing. In order for this to make sense, I have to tell probably what I did. I was doing food projects with these kids that were sort of unruly and had to see, if there was another pathway for them to do something else. So I did some I ran some food courses for some kids in a Norwegian private school. And my sense was getting to know, because then they had to run the canteen. That was kind of part of the
so project. Like prison.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. But like with gourmet food. I mean, not gourmet, but like good food.
Norwegian prison.
Exactly. So, but the point is that exactly Norwegian prison.
Thank you.
That's a good one. That's a good one. So like my sense after having worked with these kids and worked with some of their friends also was that generation, especially like the kids that are maybe 16, 17 now, fucked, man. They're really fucked. They are extremely picky eaters. Almost all of them. I would say 80% of them were picky eaters. We're talking hundreds of kids here. If it's indicative, if this school is indicative of what's going on in Norway right now, I really worry for Norway. Really, because these kids can't do shit without their parents. Can't do shit without their parents.
But I think that's a really interesting thing that you're mentioning, Jonas, because my personal experience, then again, not having worked with kids specifically over longer periods of time, but just from the kids of that age in my family, and my cousins had a lot of kids just like on like this little just boop, 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 for a few years there. Is not that at all. They're extremely self-sufficient, and some of them have different issues than what I remember from my own experience growing up. But the difference is that the issues that these kids might have are actually seen and taken care of instead of just swept under a carpet.
Where are they?
They're in Norway.
Where in Norway?
Here, southern Norway, southeastern Norway.
So, but like big city or?
It varies. Some of them are from city center. Others are from like suburban areas.
Could be the area. It's very possible.
Much so.
Very much possible. But I was shocked, I have to say, and I wouldn't say it. I mean, and that's also why I said if it's indicative. Of course, I won't say that they are 100%. Again, too small a pool to say something wholesale about all of Norwegian kids. But it's just I've noticed the same thing in Sweden and Denmark for that matter. I don't think it's a specifically Norwegian problem.
This is in private schools, then, right?
Yes, it was a private school, so it wasn't even like it wasn't a question of like the parents not having resources or something like that, and therefore not being able to take care of the kids. It was literally just my experience of these kids, whether they were what you call curling kids. So basically, parents, the game curling.
Yep.
Yeah.
Curling.
Oh yeah, so they would be just polishing their way through life.
Exactly, parents polishing.
Right. I did not expect that analogy then. Obviously I know of curling from the Winter Olympics, but
no, that's the analogy, right? So it's like curling parents, so they're running in front of their kid, sort of brushing away anything that can be difficult in that path,
There's your explanation for why they're
because I think that's this thing, because as far as I've just, again, this is super biased and personal, but the way that I experience my cousins as parents is not that way at all. They are not curling parents. They're like, you need to figure this out.
and again,
it's not going to happen.
And Margaret, I think there's obviously lots of different things going on. I think
100%. I just thought it was really interesting because it's so easy to make generalizations about a whole generation. But I think a generation is also made up of all of these different parts, right?
Yeah, but I think you could probably make many different generalizations, right? Because again, generalizations will always be an era at some point, right? I mean,
100%.
But they might say something about a zeitgeist thing or whatever, still.
Absolutely.
They might be indicative of some kind of problem that is there. And I think with every action, there's a reaction. So maybe people having seen this curling parent phenomenon the last couple of decades, maybe now there are coming some counteractions to that. I would say that's probably quite possible.
Yeah, and maybe the curling parent thing comes from the parents themselves not having any attention or not being, accommodated at all.
There's always a reason. There's always a reason. The curling parents probably comes from the previous generation being like super cold, and then the next generation makes up for that by being overtly loving, and then everyone's like, "Hey, come on, but let's bring back some of the." At some point, we'll get it right. I'm sure.
Well, maybe. Who knows? All right, Ed, you're doing a show in a few months, next month, in February.
Few weeks, Dan.
Few weeks.
Where?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the Jorvik Viking Festival?
Yes.
Yes.
You have.
Oh.
Well, let me tell you about it.
Sorry, did we yak you there?
Nah. If you're listening to this podcast and you've not heard of the Jorvik Viking Festival, well, let me tell you something. It's only the biggest Viking-themed festival in mainland Europe, especially in the UK. It's organized by the Jorvik Museum, Jorvik being the name for York. Back in the Viking times, York being the capital, the Viking capital of our country when there were more Vikings here back in the day. And every year they held a festival where they gather together various cultural events pertaining to that era, mainly historical. But in this case, my show, Mythos Ragnarok, the theater wrestling extravaganza that tells the story of the Norse myths, will be performing there in the Barbican. And we would absolutely freaking love it if people came along, because it will be our second time at York. The last time we were there, I think there was about 600 people came to see us. And we'd really love it to get even more people down this time. We're doing it at 5:00 in the evening, so it doesn't really collide with any of the official Jorvik events. So there's plenty of time to go drinking and partying afterwards, plenty of time to meet us and all of the cast and have a drink and ask us the weird questions that people feel like they should ask us after shows when we can barely think.
What date did you say?
It's the 22nd of February. So it's in a matter of weeks. On a Saturday. However, if you're in Europe and you're currently doing like Jonas and cursing the gods, we're also in Vienna for 27 shows over the spring.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we're doing 27 shows in a 700 seat theater in central Vienna, which is about as big as it gets for a theater show. So that's very easy to come along to if you're in Europe.
What say you, Daniel Farrand? A romantic weekend in Vienna? Dinner and a show?
I could go for that.
Nice.
And Max, you can come as third wheel if you want.
Oh, I would love to third wheel that. That would be great. Like, who's that ginger kid in the background there?
And that would be great.
If Vienna is too far south for you, just hold your horses and wait till the end of the year, where we'll be performing a dozen shows in the Netherlands and around the Netherlands. So if you're in Northern Europe and you want to come see us, we'll be in the Netherlands. If you're in mainland Europe, come see us in Vienna. If you're in England, come see us in a few weeks' time in York, in Jorvik.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really can't be bothered to come there, we will do a show in the south at some point.
It's just funny. It's just funny that it's like every time I figure out that you have a show, I've just left or I've just come back, and then you've gone where I was, or it's
not a coincidence, Jonas. I study your diary and I make
you know exactly
you can possibly make it.
Mythos Ragnarok performing everywhere Jonas is not.
Yeah,
basically.
If anyone wants to work out where we're performing next, just look at Jonas's diary and
and then we're not there. Yeah. That's where we
Is there any development on being able to get to the USA? Because I know we've spoke about that before, haven't we? How it's difficult because obviously there's
so we should be performing again in Australia by the end of the year, if not early 2026. So that's cool. The USA, I'm working on a collaboration with a composer in the States. And if that works out together, then I think he's in a really good position to put us on over there, because America is a real pain, because the visa situation of flying artists in, they don't like art in America. It seems certainly not art that isn't created in America. So the cool thing is, and I will shut up in a second, the cool thing is doing a run like we're doing in Vienna in a very well-respected theater and a big run with lots of press coverage and stuff, is that's the kind of stuff that gets you a visa when you try and go to the States. If you can prove that you are legit and that you need to be there, and that I can't just go there and hire a bunch of Americans to do it, because that's what they're trying to avoid over there, is that we don't come and take their jobs. But now they've got Trump, so I'm sure things will become much more reasonable.
Oh, sure, definitely.
Yeah, I heard them actually talking about that in the press release kind of thing yesterday, where one of the interviewers did ask Trump if he was willing to open up for Mythos Ragnarok to come to the States. And he was like, we'll have to see. We'll have to put tariffs on them if they could be done in America. So,
I'm glad to know that finally he's got around to it.
He got around to it. So he was talking about you, but it wasn't so positive.
Well, I think that's probably, if Trump says something negative about you, then maybe that's a positive.
I think that counts in your favor. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Will you be doing the Edinburgh Fringe again?
Yeah, we will. I don't know with promoter yet, which venue, but we'll be there. And every year we do Edinburgh. This will be our 4th year there, and it gets bigger every year. So I'm trying to do it better and better every year. So it's going to be our biggest venue to date. It's going to be the biggest show we've done to date. And therefore we'll lose the most money that we've lost to date, because that's the way of being a performing artist, obviously.
Yes, the bigger the better the poorer, as they say.
Yeah. We've got 70-something dates this year. So if you want to see our show, it should be reasonably easy to do it. And if you don't know what our show is, then just Google Mythos Ragnarok and we come up these days.
I'm excited to see you in a few weeks' time at the Barbican and see how it's developed from the last time.
When was the last time?
At the Barbican. The last time.
Last time in York. Yes.
Yeah, the last time in York. So I saw the first ever show you did, and then I saw the Barbican. I think I've seen it twice. So I'm excited to see where it's gone from there, because obviously you've done it so many more times. You performed it a load
168 times.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see that next step and where it is now.
Thanks, man. We worked hard. It's come a long way.
Did you speak to Leor, by the way, this Jewish gentleman that was doing the whole Palestinian?
I did not.
I never got to talk to him.
Well, I don't think he contacted me.
Oh.
Or I certainly didn't ignore him, put it that way.
No, that would have been very out of character for you. Okay, well.
If I did, I apologize.
I'm sure maybe he doesn't need the help anymore.
Maybe he just Googled me and was like, no, not this guy. This was your mate who was making a theatre in the round, right?
Yeah, so that was why they need to talk to you, because they were doing in the round and wanted some like pointers on how to do that, because they were doing it's not interfaith. It's just Jews and Palestinians doing theater together, basically, about peace and how to get to peace. And it was very immersive and very interactive. It's like there was these different things you had to do together with the actors and so on. It looked very beautiful.
Well, I'd be very willing to help out.
And Ed ignored them.
No.
Yeah,
And Ed was like,
I was like, no.
I was like, no.
too
That's
rich for my blood.
I don't think you've stirred the pot enough down there. You know.
Yeah. I'm a very pro-war sort of theatre. That's probably why I put them off.
Why do you think I make a whole fucking theatre show about Odin, you bastards?
Yeah.
Go kill each other.
Ed, I know I've mentioned this before. Have you looked or thought anymore about having like that live music aspect?
Yeah, man. The primary reason we don't do this is because we already lose a shitload of money. So hiring a bunch of musicians and then having to pay them is a surefire way.
Of course, losing more money.
But the guy in the States, like if his ambition is to perform with us in his version of our show. So certainly the live music would be the coolest way of doing it. When we have our own score, the ambition would be to have that music played live. For the time being, as everyone knows, we play pop music, as it were. We play Viking-y music and pay just excruciating amounts of licensing fees.
Did you have to pay that? Yeah, again, I don't know how it all works. Is that so? When you say like Viking music, is that just stuff you'd find on Spotify?
Yeah, like curated music that we kind of put together.
This is not to make this into a business meeting, but have you ever thought about just hiring two people to do all the music?
Yeah, well, that's more or less what I'm doing. And we've been working on it for about a year on and off. But at the moment, like the music at the moment is kind of, I don't want to say it's integral to the show, but it's something that people seem to really enjoy hearing one of their favorite songs come out partway through the show. Because our show is a wrestling show. So seeing a wrestler come on to one of your favorite songs is cool, right?
Yeah.
So when we're going to have our own music.
Like a walkout theme kind of
It's
thing.
all walkout themes. Yeah. He's wrestling.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool.
It's walkout themes, but the person walking out is Odin and he's Twilight of the Thunder God. And you're like, yeah. So hence the large royalties payments I have to make. But yeah, so when we have our own music made, which we will do eventually, it has to be like better, as it were. Not better music, but it has to, the aspect of having our own live music has to be more engaging than songs that have power within the social context. And that's tough.
I'm just thinking if you had someone score your play.
Yes.
You know, say someone who with
like you
experience in film scores and experience in the particular sort of like Viking area thing, you know. Could be anyone, of course.
I don't know if we know anyone like that though, Jonas. Do we?
I don't think
there are several. There's several out there. They're out there for sure, you know. And and you know, you could have someone score it.
I think you're being pitched, Ed.
You could have I would say two people performing it live. Of course, there would have to be backing tracks and so on, but I think you could do it with two people, I would say. I mean, again, this is without me knowing exactly what you want, but I would be surprised if two people in a kind of little round thing with lots of instruments and loopers and stuff, and then backing tracks that obviously adds the big boomy bassy stuff that you need. And all that. You could do that.
Yeah, I think that's more or less the plan, as far as I understand it. Is that whatever music is created needs to be playable by two people or one or two people, because otherwise I can't hire a band to also follow my. So yeah, man, that's sort of the idea. But we've been working on it, and it's with somebody else at the moment that isn't me, and I'm hoping that he understands what the fuck he's doing. But it's been a while, so
I thought you were gonna say it's with someone else that isn't you.
Oh, that isn't me. Someone else. Yeah, no, someone else is doing it.
Sorry to let you down, but here we are.
Yeah, well, the dude doing it is not specifically of the Nordic genre. So he writes music for this kind of these kind of productions, and then the idea is he's intending to like write the themes and the bangers and all the stuff for the wrestling stuff, and then the idea will be that we'll take that and then make it Nordic rather than go like Nordic wrestling, we're going to go wrestling to Nordic, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
For sure, there will be a time when it needs Nordicifying and playing live. So I'm sure this will not be the last time that we will speak about this. So
yeah,
I mean, at any time, also just if you need an advice on anything, I'm here.
Thank you, man.
No, I think that's the one thing we spoke about before, haven't we? That I think that live element of the music would just amplify it, because it's amazing being there, but it's just that immersive. And I get that it's kind of difficult because obviously it's all financial, isn't it? If you could, you would just pay for a band to be there, but obviously that's not possible. But I think that the payoff of losing somebody's like favorite song that they know to having a live act, in my opinion, I think that would be more, because I think that would be greater than somebody recognizing the song and being like, oh, cool, versus like having this kind of live music. I think that would
it's
be better.
Without a doubt it was always the end goal. But like you say, we the show improves every year, and we just have to make sure it doesn't improve too quickly that it goes bankrupt. You have to kind of like tread the line.
Pace yourselves.
For example, we need some more set. So I went to a pantomime of The Little Mermaid and offered to take their set when they were finished with it.
It's
so
funny.
There you go.
It's funny. So you're not worried about getting too big to fail. You're worried about getting too big and fail.
It happens real quickly. Like when you do as many shows as we do, if you the potential to lose thousands of quid a day is quite high because the cost is so high. So if you don't pull an audience, you can easily lose 30,000 quid in a month, and then you're fucked forever. So it's more a case of making sure you're always a little bit smaller than you could be. To make sure that if things don't go to plan, you have a buffer. So it'd be different if we had anyone financially supporting us that wasn't me. So for the time being, please keep buying the Mythos Ragnarok t-shirts, because let's just say without them there would not be a Mythos Ragnarok theater show.
Good to know.
Cool. I'll buy yours if you buy mine. That's maybe easier.
Just swap,
It's like,
also, Dan has the most t-shirts.
No, we both have to pay for the shipping as well.
Both have to pay. I'm wearing one of Dan's t-shirts. Look,
I can't believe.
So am I actually.
I can't believe how good that looks.
That's just me, man.
That sleeveless must be 5 years old.
Easily. Look how good it looks still.
I know. Who washes that for you?
Wait, who does what?
Who washes it?
Who?
I think this one is.
That could be it.
I've never washed it. Maybe that's why.
My God, are you both wearing Horns of Odin shirts?
Yeah.
This is also a Horns of Odin.
We're friends. We're friends.
Oh, so sweet. I don't have one. Sorry, guys.
I can't see.
Oh, it keeps.
You can't see the logo, can you?
Oh yeah, it's the small little logo one. Yeah.
I think this one is also. Whoa, shit! This is also like 4 years old or something.
Yeah. That is.
It's not a plug. I still wear all my Horns of Odin stuff. After many years, I've competed. I've done strongman competitions in it. I train in it every day. I only have 2 pairs of tracksuit bottoms, and I train most days. And yours are by a long way the best lasting. I mean it.
Look at this plug.
Are you getting a bit embarrassed, Dan, because your stuff is good and it's hard for you to deal with that?
Red. We've gone the color.
Let's be clear. His stuff was good. This is old stuff.
He gets it.
He doesn't have any new stuff. So
he gets it from the best Cambodian sweatshop.
Hey,
don't worry about it. Like.
This is like the best thing though, because now I can go ahead and get myself a Horns of Odin shirt, and then we can come back in like a year's time and see whether mine is held up.
Oh no, don't. No,
Pressure's on.
Meg, my best friend's in the chat, and she looks after like the social media, and has already said that you all need new stuff. So that's going to be new stuff getting sent from me without my knowledge tomorrow, probably. Yes. So keep an eye on somebody asking for your address.
Yes, please,
man. We can wear it at the Jorvik Viking Festival.
Wow, yeah. absolutely. We've kind of plugged out stuff. Jonas, is there anything else you want to push more with with what you're working on, and then we'll.
I very briefly foreshadowed. I'm starting a podcast, and I'm doing that together with the release of the new album because I had this idea. Because with the music that I make with Nibala, it's always informed by these deep. Let me not say it like that. Let me just say it in a different way. It's always informed by these, at least let's say, very carefully thought out ideas, or at least I try to draw from carefully thought out ideas. So before it was sacred sexuality, I was working with Matthias, trying to, have a really good foundation for the art that I was creating. And I'm doing the same with the Rite of Passage. And I thought it would be a great idea to just do a podcast and then talk to different people who thinks about rites of passages or who works with indigenous knowledge or who are scholars within a particular branch of study that is relevant to rites of passages, basically. So I've made 4 or 5 episodes, and I'm going to launch it, I think, in a month or something like that. And then I'll sort of do, I think, monthly episodes, I think.
That sounds really interesting.
Deep dives into these topics, basically. So there's a philosophy one. We're doing one with a guy who's a tattoo artist who does body work as well. Just like these different men's health thing. And a philosopher, Rune from Nordic channel, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, really, the Nibala podcast. It's gonna come out in a month or something like that.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Cool.
Just checking.
Simple.
Make sure we look for the right thing.
Well, you might change to the Low C podcast now.
Oh yeah.
I have to find where's the Low C. I'll figure out in a second. That's probably around about right.
This is the second time I've done something correct on this podcast, and everyone's gone to fucking like Google AI. This is how the podcast is always going to end.
You know what? It's incredible that you are almost like smack on. You're like a semitone off from being on the
How
low
is this
C
incredible?
right there.
I'm allowed to know things. I'm allowed to have perfect pitch.
He was in a band for 11 years.
I was in the band for 11 years.
Still, I didn't know you had perfect pitch, Ed, as well. You're strong man, perfect pitch. Slack.
What's one of the 9 faces?
Yeah. The face of the pitchfork.
Could you tell us what the podcast was called again?
Well, it's just called the Nibala podcast.
The Nibala podcast.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, let's wrap up. Ed, I have to ask you, what was the band name? Because I know that is going to be something chaotic. And what kind of music was it? Because there were people asking this, so they can.
There were people asking?
So they can check on Spotify, see if you're on there.
No, of course I'm not on there. It wasn't a good band. The band
was perfectly pitched, though.
Yeah, everything was beautiful. It was just bad. The band name was Gay Bum.
Really? Gay Bum?
Yeah. Yep. GAY space BUM.
I didn't know that, but I just knew that it would be something just...
Take us through that journey.
Yeah. Well, there were many elements to it. It may as well have been drawn out of a hat. We played just over 500 gigs in our time, all over the place. I'm pretty sure if you look it up, you'll find some of the music. I take no responsibility. Obviously, it's mine, and I wrote it and created it, and am responsible. But you
shall not take responsibility.
But you don't take any of the responsibility.
Yeah, some of it's bad.
Although I wrote it and I am responsible.
I don't even know where to start with all that.
And you are singularly funny human being.
Yeah, the problem is I've been doing this for my whole life, so I can't get away from it. You know, this is not a trend. I've been doing this for now over 20 years. So if you look it up, my stuff exists all over the place. Just like Mag said earlier, thank God there wasn't social media when we were children. Otherwise,
Right.
I just found the other day. I found a YouTube video from the most controversial band that I've ever played with, which was a band called Auto Auto. It was the whole setup was it had to be sort of like really dark, almost sort of like no future postmodern death punk from Berlin. That was the setup. Like that was the concept. It was a concept band.
right.
And we sang in sort of, back then Google Translate was really bad, so really poorly Google translated Danish lyrics into German. So terrible German lyrics.
You were in the band.
I was in the band. Yeah, I played bass for them for one show because they never played. They always played either reunion shows or the last show ever.
I can relate to that actually.
Yeah, it was
I've
pretty
done
cool.
6 or 7 last show evers, and I did a reunion show just a few months ago.
Yeah, so you know how it is. Sometimes that's all bands do.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so
especially
that
when-
was. I was dressed up like a monkey in a cage.
Wow. In
Yeah.
a cage.
Yeah, they made a cage for me every day, every concert, every concert.
Big enough for you to play the bass in.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, they were very serious.
We were also
There's-
a concept band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the concept?
The concept was not being very good,
Yeah, yeah. Just being really shit.
which we executed to perfection. If
To
I,
perfection, yeah, I'm sure. But this band was shitty as well. It's a terrible band. It's the only band I've ever performed with where it was okay for me to be inebriated entirely.
Oh.
I've never ever played with any other band in a inebriated state, but with those guys, it was sort of it was fine, whatever.
Yeah, we insisted on it actually.
Yeah, actually, it was more like an insisting
Yeah.
on it. Yeah.
I don't actually think I'd have done it if I'd been sober.
But it's fucking weird
But
to
as
have
most
played
people
with
know,
those
I
guys.
was drunk for about 18 years solid, so I got up to all kinds of great things.
You were on 18-year bender.
More or less, yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. 14.
Did you wake up one morning and go like, "Has this been an 18-year bender?"
No, it was a stomach ulcer that put an end to it.
Okay. I was like,
Yeah. I was still on it, I think, when we first started these podcasts, but now I'm obviously more or less sober, which is why I'm glowing with health.
Yeah.
Good, Ed. Good.
Yeah. So somebody very kindly put the Gay Bum official group into Facebook.
Wait, we have a Facebook?
Yeah, apparently.
I don't have a Facebook account these days, so
Gay
that's-
bum.
Oh yeah, look at it. There it is. Wow. I think we played on the same bill as Raging Speedhorn and Evil Scarecrow.
The chat is on fire tonight, guys.
right, well.
Sure.
They're on it.
Oh. I'm watching one of your videos that you did with yoga, apparently.
Who?
Heavy
Me?
metal yoga or something.
Oh, heavy metal yoga was a whole different thing that I did. Like I said,
Yeah.
it was long. It was long.
You know what's funny right now? I was too deeply involved with the chat there for a minute and a half, and now I don't even know where we're at in the conversation.
But come on, that could be any
Show
point
you.
in this particular episode.
That I think that was the auto band that I was playing in. I don't know if they have any pictures in there that are good.
So to be clear, everyone who's listening to this podcast is now just listening to us reading the group chat.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Should
yeah.
we? I was wondering if
Great. So I'm going to sing to everyone while you guys read the group chat, just to prove my perfect pitch.
yeah, I was wondering whether there was a way that I could play us out with a.
You know what? I think we
Yeah,
actually
big
were
gay
all
bum.
really
Oh, that
well
was so
behaved
good.
for this whole episode, and because Dan really prepped me for like this is going to be chaos, Mags. But now I feel like we've actually reached the chaos side
This is where it
of
happens.
the
Here we
episode.
go.
I'll sing
Here
us
we
out
go.
with our top song. Our top song is called Thundercock.
Thundercock.
Yes. I'll sing it for you.
Yeah.
And
Oh yes. Do we get a live rendition? I don't have to try and work the magic out to pull it up.
I think I actually played it at Jorvik a couple of years ago.
I think I might have been there actually.
We're
Yeah,
in
I
a
think
pub somewhere. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I
the
did.
three,
You were
the three
there.
tons. Yeah, yeah.
There you go. See, I don't need to. You know it. You know
No,
it.
no, no. I want to hear. Everybody else wants to hear it, Ed.
Sure. It's a song about having such a big penis that other people borrow it when their penis isn't sufficient.
I think that's great because
Hello.
I've never been able to do that.
Yeah, right. So it's designed as like an experiential thing. Like,
Yeah.
imagine what it would feel like. And of course, the chorus then goes Thundercock. When you've got the flop, you've got to make the swap and call the Thundercock. My one-stop shop stocks shocking cocks, blessed with girth since the moment of birth. My inches of steel will now envelop the earth. Thundercock, dial 08454. Thundercock. There you go.
Fucking good.
Applause.
That's just a taste of the
I
power
think
of
that's
gay
really
bum.
good.
There we go. That's brilliant.
Amazing.
All right.
I think the only thing I can remember from Alto would be I say they because I was actually just hired as the bass player, but so they made a version of 99 Luftballon.
Oh, nice.
Know that one?
Yeah.
Yep.
So instead of 99 Luftballon, whatever it says after that, it went 99 Handgranaten fliegen durch den Kindergarten.
Oh no.
Oh,
I don't speak the
that
language,
is
but I
dark.
can you translate that? But I can guess where it went.
99 Handgranaten fliegen durch den Kindergarten.
Oh no,
Da, da, da.
no.
So
This
it means 99 hand grenades flying through the kindergarten.
Oh.
I think that's very catchy, and I approve.
I think they were pretty good. They were pretty good. Yeah. At being shit.
Yeah. Well, if that's the aim, it's okay.
As long as that's the aim, yeah.
All right. Let's wrap this up
Authenticity.
and let people ask you some questions from the chat. Somebody in the chat said everybody should join Patreon so you can join the chat, which I agree. Actually, I agree with that. Join the Patreon so you can join in with the chat because it's always a lot of fun. Which is Patreon/Nordic Mythology Podcast.
At least someone's playing the podcast.
Ed, where can people find you, follow the show?
Yes. Instagram, I'm Ed Gamester. My handle is thus the guild because my name, when you write it together, looks like Edge Master. So I would get.
Oh, I thought it was that for so long when I first met you.
I know, right? Yeah, it was tough. So thus the guild is me. Mythos.theatre is my show. I don't have other social media accounts because I cannot be bothered. It's entirely bullshit. I don't really
too
post
much.
I don't even post on Instagram really much. But mainly come see us, like come see the show, come see Mythos Ragnarok somewhere. It's really good fun. I promise.
Mm-hmm.
We've done it a lot now, and people agree with me that it's good fun.
Yeah, you've had enough social confirmation.
Yeah, I have. At last, approval. Otherwise, I can't be found. Don't try.
Jonas, where can people find you, your music, and the podcast, I guess?
Well, I think it's the podcast and everything is just all going to be from Nibala's social media.
Nice.
So, go on at Nibala Music on the old Instagram, and that's basically the one-stop shop to figure out everything else that happens with Nibala, I would say. So you get onto the YouTubes and the whatnots.
The one-stop shop that stocks.
Fucking cocks.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, I should say that. Apparently, you can also find me the Gay Bum Facebook page.
Gay Bum Facebook, yeah.
So that may or may not be good. Again, I don't take responsibility for that.
Mags, where can people find you?
I'm also just a humble Instagram user whenever stuff is posted, which is rare. But you can find me at Archeomags, Archeo with a K.
Nice. For me, it's Daniel_Farrand1, the Business Horns of Odin, and then it's Nordic Mythology Podcast across the board, including YouTube. If you do want to go pop over onto there, you can see all our pretty faces. And yeah, pretty faces.
People can see a video of this episode?
Yeah,
Yes.
of course. All the times you've been picking your nose,
Yeah.
we've seen it. If you can, every time Jonas put his little nose ring on.
Amazing.
Should I go for it?
Yeah, go for it. Do
All
it.
right.
Oh, that's a bit. Yeah, that would be a big one.
Can't really. It's disgusting to put it up your nose, isn't it? But I think it's the best way to really
Where
say.
what? Where is that
What
from?
is it? What's
Yeah,
happening?
because
It's a Viking brooch. Actually, it is needing the needle. It's one of those.
oh, okay, right, I'm with you.
Like that.
Because it looked too small for something that would go around your wrist, but too big to go around your finger. And I was like,
But it's not
what's
too
in-
big
what's
to
in
go.
between?
It's not too big to go around the old.
Yeah,
Could
the
also
old
be
thundercock.
the old thundercock. Yeah.
I was like, what's in between those two sizes? And then
This is so that it can be. It's adjustable. So whenever people come to my house, it's lying like that, open, so it looks like it's really big, and then I can adjust it.
Squeeze it right down.
Squeeze it,
Well,
squeeze
that
it
just-
right down.
Just proves that Julia wasn't just all female.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It never has been.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so you can watch the episode, and if you want to hit the like and subscribe button, I would appreciate that. Let you know when we drop a new video. And yeah, sometimes when we do serious episodes, this has not been the most Nordic mythology based podcast we've done, but sometimes we have esteemed scholars on, like Lesha Gedera, who brought a whole slideshow to the episode and was really fantastic. That one I would recommend watching. This one, maybe not so much.
But the last episode was
Well,
number
you do
250.
Yep.
I think we did do our due diligences for all the would-be Viking scholars out there, and let them know that to just listen to the Ed and Dan and Matthias and the Havermal.
Yeah,
True.
Good.
If you
And also,
We did mention that. I think we did what we needed to do in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
and also the thing is, if you watch this episode on YouTube, you get to see all of us cracking up.
Yeah,
Which is fun.
yeah, it's nice to it's different to like the scholarly based ones, but I love this. I've missed the two of you. These episodes are always the most fun, and I think that's something we've missed a little bit on the podcast with just having like a lot of scholarly based guests on.
All these
Just
guys, that's so boring and suck, right?
Yeah, when we get together, it's just fun, and you just laugh, and that kind of that's so much fun.
Unlike those stuffy academics.
All those stuffy academics with their
Yeah.
grizzled eyebrows and their bloody pipes and whatnot.
elbow patches.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
I think I have a pipe. I should bring that out next time.
Smelling
Yeah.
of chewing
So I-
tobacco and rose water. Now, go on.
I think it's no surprise that a lot of people turned out to come and watch this one. The two of you, it was always going to be a lot of fun. We will definitely book this in to do it again at some point in the future, whenever we can make an excuse to do it.
Well, I mean, I feel like we have an excuse now also because Megan's just promised to send me some shit. So then we can
Yeah.
compare,
Yeah.
the longevity of the Horns of Odin
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
also, I've been saying you should come to one of our shows at some point and do a live podcast from our
That
set,
would
man.
be fun.
should, yeah.
Do that
Yeah, that would be so much fun. In Vienna.
in Vienna.
And you could come and do a live one in at the Soulskin Festival in June. Playing near you this time. Near you, yeah. It's in Peak District.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're anywhere near me, unlike Ed's show, I follow your calendar, and I
Yeah,
like
but
to
so-
be close. I find you. I'm not
That is
like
that's a
Ragnar. I don't go
that's
the other way.
Sorry, that's a tiny
Ooh.
pagan festival, right? So it'd be a perfect place for you to come and do a Nordic mythology podcast thingy.
Yeah.
We should set it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
do that. Yeah,
Let's
for
start
sure.
that. All right, let's wrap this up, and we'll
All
let
right.
people ask you some questions.